So I would like to welcome to the stage our new speaker, Joe Fan, who's the Vice President and Deputy Head at Global Issuer Services, Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So he will be delivering an overview on Hong Kong, IPOs, and listing opportunities. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hi, Julia. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for being with us. We're really excited to hear your talk.
Good morning, everyone, and good evening in Hong Kong. My name is Joe. As Julie introduced, I'm from Hong Kong Stock Exchange from the Global Issue Service side. So today I think it's a very good chance to share more about Hong Kong capital market. And as Dimitri and also Gregory just mentioned, lots of good news and also great momentum, especially in the technology side and biotechnology markets. I think it's a good timing right now. So today I'm glad to share more about the technology investment landscape, especially from the public markets perspective. And I will introduce more about what's going on in the biotech and healthcare sector and the listing area in the Hong Kong's capital market. I think Dimitri just gave a very great introduction about the whole macro system about the global biotech industry. So according to McKinsey's report earlier released this year, actually the venture capitalist activity in biotech firm actually increased by 45% from last year. And I think the global investors' interest, especially in the healthcare and biotech companies, has dramatically surged, with over $57 billion have been invested worldwide in this industry. So especially in the IPO activity, actually the biotech ecosystem actually has a very fast pace as compared with other category or other business in the fundraising area. So especially for the biotech company, actually there are more than $34 billion has been invested in the biotech companies last year. So I think it's a very great momentum. So with this very successful driving force, I think in Hong Kong, after we launched the biotech listing chapter in 2018, actually Hong Kong is now the Asia's largest biotech fundraising hub, as well as the second largest IPO venue in the biotech in the world. So talking about some macro overview, first of all, about Hong Kong Exchange, actually we are consistently one of the world's top 3 IPO centers. And we have been the #1 IPO venue globally for 7 out of the past 12 years. And some update information up to October this year, actually we have already welcomed a total of 76 new IPOs in Hong Kong and raising about $38 billion. Obviously, I think the healthcare and biotech sectors has become the most prominent one in Hong Kong IPO market. Talking about our key milestones and some innovation and key breakthroughs in the past decades. Actually, of course, I think the major breakthrough, as just mentioned, is in April 2018. Actually, the Hong Kong Exchange, we have the 3 major breakthroughs to have a listing rules reform. First of all, we introduced the biotech pre-revenue companies chapters. And I think it's a very remarkable milestone because this opened the doors to many high growth new economy and biotech companies from a broader range of different categories and helping them to secure the funding through both primary listing and also secondary listing. So 3 years on, I think these reforms have already fundamentally changed the DNA of Hong Kong capital market. And Hong Kong stock market has now become even more vibrant and diversified. And also, I like to highlight in these years, we also have some innovation and some reform. In particular, I think 2 new consultations we have already released. First of all, is about the enhancement of the listing regimes for the overseas issues. And the second one is about the SPAC listing regime. We made a proposal as well and also completed consultation. Yes, so I will go through it in the later part. Okay, about the biotech, the regulatory regimes just mentioned. I think I won't go through detail, but first of all, I think for the biotech chapter, I think it's the most interesting is that it welcomes the pre-revenue biotech companies. We rely on their core products and also and other requirements such as their depends on the competent authority and also require the meaningful investment from the supported investors. So I think this will also open a great door for those company which has not commercialized or without the financial track records, so that they can raise funds in the early stage, and also they can have the funding support to support their R&D capacities and also their product development. Another two breakthroughs is about the WBR, which means the dual class share structure for those innovative companies. So right now, Hong Kong, we now already have 14 listed WBR companies already in Hong Kong. And the third one, I think, is another big wave. We introduced another new regime to welcome the secondary listing for those Chinese companies that already list overseas. So especially for those listed in qualified exchange, we name it, including the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and also London Stock Exchange, the main market for the premium listing. So we welcome those Chinese companies can come back home to Hong Kong for the secondary listing. And also so far right now, Hong Kong, we have already another 14, we call it 19C secondary company already listed, including Alibaba, Baidu, and JD.com, etc. So some update statistic. Right now, since 2018, we already have 168 new economy companies, which including those technology, AI, fintech, data, and also, of course, the healthcare and biotech companies already listed in Hong Kong. And in terms of funding they raised, which is already up for these 168 companies, the total fundraise is more than $100 billion, which account for 63% of the total IPO fundraised in Hong Kong during the period. And it also contributes more than 26% of Hong Kong's total market cap right now. So in terms of the ADT in the cash markets, these new economy companies now contribute more than 22% this year, as compared to only 4% in 2018. And especially for the healthcare and biotech companies, right now, another update information, right now we have already 77 healthcare and biotech companies and raised more than $30 billion, in which about 40 companies, which are the we call it is a pre-revenue biotech company, raised more than $13 billion. So when we talk about listing, so based on our daily interaction with the global issuers, their founders, and also investors, so we understand what are their key considerations and expectations from listing, or where to list should be the optimal value. So we highlight few key concerns that are in their mind when they think about listing. I think 4 big key areas. I think first of all is about the valuation, the P/E comparison. And the second is about the liquidity at the time of IPO, as well as the post-IPO in the secondary market. And the third, very important, is about the investor base. So they look for a very diversified and internationalized investor base. And the last one, apart from the funding, actually another key reason for listing is talking about the business collaboration. So I think we summarize some key factors. We think that Hong Kong is an attractive and optimal place to address the factors that I just mentioned. So in particular, I highlight 2 key attractions, especially in the Hong Kong market. First of all, is about the global connectivities. So based on our listing reforms, actually, we think that the geographical location of Hong Kong is definitely an advantage for companies, especially in the high growth and with the global expansion plan, including with the access to the Chinese market. So I think with our close proximity to the mainland China, I think this will help the healthcare and also the biotech companies to concentrate and to concentrate their resources and enrich their R&D capacities and also the patient market, and to develop the business partners. and with the capital accessibility. Another key traction for Hong Kong is about the diverse investor base. Actually, we think Hong Kong, as compared with different markets, we have a very balanced mix of investors. So both including the retail and institutional, as well as from the local and also international investors. From the graph, you can see that actually we have a quite balanced and good mix, especially in the geographical point of view. Actually, more than 50% of the international investors, the trading come from like US, UK, and Europe. And of course, another majority is from the mainland China and the rest of APAC. So I think this combination is another attractive reasons for lots of international companies. They choose Hong Kong as the listing venue. So looking ahead, I would like to share about three main opportunities ahead, especially during the post-COVID century right now. So as well as the capital market, the upcoming trend. So I think three major opportunities I would like to share. So first of all, I think the healthcare and biotech sector, which is the most booming factors, of course, is in the list. Another key factors, I think, as compared with other sectors, our healthcare and biotech sectors actually is one of the fast growing sectors, following by the information technology or the financial services, as well as the consumer product. So, and also, I think in terms of the trading liquidity and velocity, actually, you can see that since 2017, actually, the trading volume and trading activities by investors has been keep increasing. So it can prove that actually the investor appetite is very positive in this sector. Another key support is based on the indexes. Actually, in 2019, we launched the Hang Seng Hong Kong listed biotech indexes, which now includes 55 constituents, including 21 pre-revenue biotech companies. That greatly reflects the overall performance of the listed biotech companies in Hong Kong. So since 2020 and up to June this year, actually, this biotech index has been seen with the more than 87% upside as compared with other industry index in Hong Kong. And also in November, another key development, in November last year, our unique stock connect program between Hong Kong Exchange, Shanghai Exchange, and also the Shenzhen Stock Exchange has started to include the eligible pre-revenue biotech companies to be included for the southbound investment by the Chinese investors. So currently, we already have 24 eligible biotech companies can be traded under the southbound stock connect regime. Deep dive into the biotech sector. We know that actually there are many exciting new subsectors are emerging. Apart from the AI or longevity area, like Dimitri just mentioned in the beginning, I think digital healthcare is another key area we can see the booming very fast. This includes the internet healthcare, the big data, and also the medtech. It, of course, include those new AI applications, especially in the drug discovery and development companies. Another key trend is, especially during the pandemic, it accelerated the growth of those subsectors, including the mRNA technology drug companies, as well as those producing vaccines and diagnostic products. So another about medical devices and also the clinical services are also another key trend and developing very fast. About the investor, so I extract some sample names of the global institutional investors, including those non-funds, PE and VC. They are playing very actively in the Hong Kong healthcare and biotech IPO. For example, like Sequoia, Q House, OpenMap, Chimin, GIC. Those are very international named investors. They are very supportive to Hong Kong, the biotech sector. So another update on our pipeline, actually, which is remaining very strong. So far, actually, not just about actually, so in the overall number of pipeline, we have more than 200 leasing applications already received on hand, in which more than 50 application, which is from the healthcare and biotech sectors. And among these more than 50 application, we got more than 20 of them are from the pre-revenue biotech chapters. So you can see that actually not just Chinese names, but I think in the coming months or in the next year, you'll see more and more international names are coming, including from UK, Ireland, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, and Singapore. So you can see that apart from the product diversity, another key development is in the geographical coverage for this biotech and healthcare. We've seen a very diversified expansion as a whole. So some other technicals is about the requirement. I think Gregory from Innos Hong Kong just touched a little bit, but I won't go through too detail in my presentation. But I just highlight 3 key principles for our biotech chapter. If they look for some suitability for listing or eligible for listing. First of all, I think our regimes mainly rely on the core product side, and also they have been past the concept stage, and also they require some meaningful amount of investment from some we defined the sophisticated investor. Of course, there are other detailed requirements. So feel free to reach out to me if you need more information about the requirement side. Okay, second opportunity at hand is about the new leasing routes. So I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, this year we launched 2 new consultations. We expect to open another doors to facilitate, especially for those overseas issues. They can be more flexible and find Hong Kong markets more attractive for the listing. So first of all, is about the overseas listing regime. Actually, in March this year, we have set out some additional proposal to streamline the listing process, especially by those overseas jurisdiction applicants. They can simplify the application process from the legal perspective. And also in other areas, such as the due clause shares structure and also the VIE structure. For those Chinese and also some international companies, we have some flexibility proposed. And also in terms of the secondary listing by the qualified issues list overseas, we also made some levy for them to facilitate them to land in Hong Kong as well. And the consultation period has been closed, and we are waiting for the publication of the consultation conclusion and the new rules being effective. And the second part, of course, is about another hot topic is about the spec. Of course, you can see that actually in US market, the spec booming is very remarkable, especially last year. And also in other markets, including UK, we understood like the FCA and also the London Stock Exchange, and also reviewing their listing regime, and also touch on the spec, which is already exists in the listing regime. And also like Singapore, we understand different markets are doing a revision about the markets. So for Hong Kong, actually, we are also taking it very serious to do a feasibility study and make a proposal on the spec. So the consultation period has been ended in October. So we're also waiting for the conclusion, because we have received tremendous numbers of responses about the new regime. And of course, from the Hong Kong, I think maybe many different inquiries about the position about our Hong Kong spec. But I think we are taking very great balance in terms of the market protection, and also from the competitiveness and attractiveness as well. So today I won't go through detail about some technical about the spec, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any more questions about our spec regime. Okay, so the last one, I think, because of the limit of time, I won't go into detail, but I think the ESG and sustainable finance is another key opportunities we're looking ahead, especially during the COP26, which is a very recent topics just closed last week. in Glasgow, actually, which is the climate change, ESG, and also the sustainability. Actually, is a top agenda for different kind of industries, products, or corporate investors. So I think, especially for Hong Kong Exchange, we are very committed to support this area. Not just from the regulator point of view, we regulate more than 2,500 listed company about the ESG disclosure requirement. And also, we also just joined the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, and also the Net Zero Financial Service Provider Alliance to support the long-term sustainability commitment. So I think from the technology or biotech point of view, I think especially for the companies and also investors, I think it's one of the key priority for them to take this ESG and sustainability element into their portfolio and also business strategy. And Hong Kong Exchange is very committed and dedicated to support this initiative. And we look forward to more crossover between ESG and also the biotech and healthcare. Okay, so to close my part, I think we look forward to welcome more international technology and biotech companies to land Hong Kong, not just for the business, but also in the capital market collaboration. So thank you again today, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe. I can definitely tell you that our attendees enjoyed it a lot, and the overall feedback is confirming that the system is moving very dynamically. And thank you so much for showing us that it's full of possibilities. It's very insightful.